Hi friends, today is the first day of Hanukkah. It begins at sundown tonight, and I have some thoughts that I want to share, and also some of you may not know that much about Hanukkah, and so I wanted to share a bit for you because I think this is a very important time, and it's an important time for our Jewish friends, but it's also an important time because it's completely related to the idea of celebrating the miracle of light and celebrating that we are taken care of. So first I want to share with you some background on Hanukkah in general. When I was in seminary and studying Judaism, I was really compelled by this incredible tradition, which I learned is a religion that is deeply steeped in ritual and practice, much more so than creed and belief in my mind, and I really enjoyed that. And so honestly, it's something that I'm really drawn to, and I'm drawn to so many of the practices and the traditions and rituals in it. And so that includes Hanukkah, which begins tonight. So Hanukkah means dedication, which is related to what this holiday actually celebrates. And Hanukkah is not actually one of the high holidays at all for Jewish people. It's not Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. This is more of like a cultural experience that Jews have, but it is also a celebration of light. It's called the Festival of Lights, and it means dedication, as I said. So it actually commemorates the rededication of a very holy temple in Jerusalem, which was taken over by a Syrian king and ruler, Antiochus IV, in 167 BC. And so at the time, this Greek ruler, this Syrian king came in and said, I'm taking over, basically took over all the land, told the Jewish people that they had to practice his religion. He didn't want them to be different and didn't appreciate Judaism, and so basically said, you can't be yourselves. You need to celebrate my religion and worship the Greek gods. And so obviously that wasn't ideal. And so for 200 years, a rebellion grew. It was originally started by a guy named Judah, and he eventually changed his name to Maccabee, which means the hammer, which is really cool. And so his followers became the Maccabees, and they had this big rebellion going on. And on the 25th of Kislev, which is a Hebrew month, which is this Hebrew month, that's why, in case you don't know, that's why Hanukkah changes timing. The 8 days are at different times because it's based on the Hebrew calendar, not our Gregorian calendar. And so it'll change at times during the year. It'll be earlier in December. It might be a little bit later in December. I think it's sometimes even in November, I think it can be. It just depends on how the Hebrew calendar is looking each year, because they have a different number of months sometimes. So so on the 25th of Kislev, in the year 165 BC, I believe, Judah and his followers took over they reclaimed this incredible temple. And just to back up for a second, when Antiochus came in, he had his soldiers destroy this temple, basically, which was one of the most sacred sites for Jews. And they brought in garbage, they brought in mud, they destroyed the furniture, they destroyed the curtains. It was this incredible holy site that they just absolutely ransacked and destroyed. And in the process, they also destroyed both the menorahs, which at the time only had 7 candles apparently, but they also destroyed all the jars of oil that they used to light the candles. And so it wasn't like wax, they had oil that they used to light these menorahs. And so all of the oil was gone. And so when they came back in, they said, we need to rededicate this holy temple. And so they were trying to put it back together. And when they went to try to create a new menorah and light a menorah, they only had oil that they could find. It was like a tiny jar, and they only had oil for one night. And they needed to make more oil, but it was apparently going to take 8 days to make more oil to help with the rebellion and also to have within this temple. And miraculously, this one jar of oil that should have only lasted for one night, it stayed lit for 8 nights. And so it was a miracle. It was a miracle of light, similar to the miracles that we hear about of miracles of light in general this time of year. This was the miracle of light that the Jews celebrate. And so it feels to me like what that really signifies is that we are cared for, that we are seen, that doing right means that we are connected to ourselves, that we're connected to something larger than us, and that we are cared for, and there is something going on besides us. It's not just rational for something that should stay lit for one day to stay lit for 8 days. And so it feels like this huge connection to the divine, which is what is celebrated here. And also that the Jews were able to take over their temple again, to have their temple in Jerusalem back. So there's a number of things here that I want to talk about. First of all, I just want to let you know how this is practiced. You've probably seen this, but in case you don't know, people have menorahs. Menorahs now have 9 places for candles. And the 9th is called a shamash, which is on the right, usually on the right side. It can be in different places, but it's separate from the 8 candles, which represent the nights. The shamash is a candle that is the attendant flame. It's, to me, it represents the light within us, the light of interconnection, divine light, spiritual light, the ever presence of light. And so that is the candle that each night is lit so that you can then light the other candles. And so each night, people who practice will have after sundown, it's always after sundown unless it's Shabbat, and then on those days you light the candle right before sundown. But on those nights, so on the first night you start on the left. I'm probably opposite here, but you start on the left. For me, it's my left. And you light 1 candle. On the second night, you would replace that candle and you would light 2 candles. On the third night, again, from the left, 1, 2, 3. And so by the 8th night, there are 8 candles lit, which is really amazing. And you leave them lit for at least a half hour, but I've often seen them burn down. The little candles burn down, so you have enough candles that you can burn them every night. So it's a really beautiful practice. And for me, it really connects, as someone who's interspiritual and interfaith, it connects me to the miracle that is light, and to remembering that in these experiences of incredible darkness, that there is light. And so that feels very true right now in the world. But I think especially for Jews this year, I can only imagine that this is taking on greater significance because this is a time of extreme darkness. And we must have hope for light. We need to have the hope of Hanukkah and of the miracles of light, and that light will prevail, that there will be light, that there is light in this darkness. And, I imagine that Hanukkah also commemorates the strength of the Jewish people to maintain their culture and their traditions in times when they're being attacked, when people are trying to have power over them. Their land was taken at the time. There's land theft, and their people are being attacked physically. Right now, there are still hostages that are being held by Hamas, which is so complicated. And so I'm sure that this is a much deeper meaning this year than it has been previously. And in addition, so many of our Jewish friends are experiencing deep anti-Semitism, and their people are experiencing deep anti-Semitism, which is so upsetting. And it's really complicated because with the Israel-Palestine conflict right now, Hamas and the Palestinian people are not the same thing. And the Israeli government and Jews are not the same thing. And so right now, what I feel is so important is for us to recognize that our Jewish people, our Jewish friends, our Jewish brothers and sisters, they need our support. They need to recognize that other people see them. They see the darkness that they're experiencing. And that's not to say at all that Palestinian people do not need our compassion at all either. I am not separating the two things. I'm simply talking about this right now because it's a Jewish holiday. It's a moment for Jews, and I know with the people that I've connected with, this is a really, really, really challenging time. And so, you know, connect with your friends who are Jewish, connect and wish them a happy Hanukkah, wish them light, you know, ask them how they're doing. That's what I continue to do with my friends. And, you know, just connecting and letting them know that you see them, that you see the light within them, that you hope that they are able to connect to light. And, you know, it's 8 days long. So we have 8 days that we can celebrate the light, and we can also celebrate the continuing of light. So it feels so powerful and profound, that historically this happened during such a dark time of year, because Kislev is always around this time of year. And so it was a dark time of year when light was really needed. And that metaphor feels very true right now. And it's also very indicative as our days get shorter and shorter and shorter. And the darkness can feel just like mostly what we're doing is living in darkness. There's a lot more darkness than there is light right now. And so finding those moments and experiences where we can feel that light is so powerful. So, my dear friends, Happy Hanukkah to all of you. I am sending love to all of you and holding you all in my heart, and especially to my Jewish friends and people who practice Judaism or feel connected to Judaism in any capacity. I am sending you love, and I am sending you light, and I am wishing the miracle of light for you and for all of us, and for peace and love and light to find its way around the world into everybody's hearts.